Hello again. Now, the Tshwane University of Technology has embarked on a project to rename buildings at its campuses. This journey to rename sites started a few years back when the university's arts campus renamed after South African creative giants Winston Mankunku Ngozi and artist Gerard Sikoto. Well, let's discuss this process further now. I'm joined by Professor Tinyiko Maluleke. He's the Vice Chancellor and Principal of the Tshwane University of Technology. Prof, good afternoon. Welcome to today. Thank you very much for your time. How's the process currently, the project to rename buildings going?
It's going very well, Braden. The university community is extremely excited and extremely supportive, and they participate very enthusiastically in the process. As you rightly pointed out, it's been ongoing for a number of years. We have a committee that oversees the process, and we have participation of stakeholders, and there is a lot of progress. And I think a lot of positive energy is coming out of it.
Yes, and is it because you're involving a lot of stakeholders? That's why you're getting this energy?
No, I think it's because it's a very important South African project, Braden. Naming is a national project because we do come from a past where names were imposed, sometimes names that are inappropriate. Sometimes the names in and of themselves there's nothing wrong with them, but it is where they come from and what they stand for. And so I think the excitement comes from being a people who understand the importance of naming ourselves, as it were, and naming ourselves in ways that define not only who we used to be, but who we want to become.
Yes, so it's a national thing, naming, involving many people, but I'm just wondering about the process. How do you go about it? Because most times, and we'll get to that point, we then hear comment about it's costing money.
Yes, it does cost some money, but being misnamed or poorly or wrongly named is also costly. And just because we can't put rands and cents to it, we must not scoff at that cost. There is a cost to misnaming. There is a cost to violent naming. So yes, it is true, but within the university, we try to keep the cost at a minimum because we choose our names very carefully, and we choose names that have a significance for the heritage of the country, for where the country wants to go and where our institution wants to go. And in that way, we avoid unnecessary legalese and the legalities that sometimes comes with using certain names. So we do try and keep that cost very low. There is a nomination process, for example, so people will put forward the names that they suggest we use, and there is a committee that will go through that, and there will be debates and contestations around which is the best name, and that's how we end up with the names that we have. For example, last week, the building that was renamed was called Dinukeng, which means place of rivers. That is the name that most people were, the overwhelming majority were happy about.
Yeah, and that was very smart, because sometimes when you put a name on the building, there's emotions attached to it. I mean, just speaking for myself, each time I drive down Chris Hani Baragwanath Road on my way into Soweto, I look at the UJ campus and I see the names on the buildings that are facing the road. One of them, Hector Peterson, and then it makes me recall the June 16, 1976 student uprising. So there's meaning as well. But you know, where I get disappointed, and I want to get your views, Prof, is You rename buildings, but you have to look after the buildings. I mean, recently I went to Freedom Square in Kliptown in Soweto, and the local government in that square, they had built the 12 pillars of the Freedom Charter, and then with the letters of the first one, the people shall govern, and each clause right to the end. And I'm looking up there, I'm checking it out. It's not well maintained. And some of the letters have fallen and have gone, and nobody is maintaining that, and it's not looking good. And that's supposed to be a heritage site. So how do you respond to that? You've renamed Inukeng, for example, and earlier you renamed Gerard Sikoto, a few years ago, Winston Mankunkungozi. Maintaining these newly renamed buildings is also important.
It's very important, Braden. I mean, if you name a building after an event, a feature of your life, a person who is important in the lives of South Africans or in the lives of Africans from the continent and from the diaspora, it is an insult to the entity or the person after whom you name a place if you don't look after the place. A time may come when people may say, please don't name anything after me because it's going to be neglected anyway. So it is a very important point that you are making. Naming is only the beginning of the process. Naming is a form of valorization. It's a form of commitment. It's a bit like yours and my name. You know, when the parents name you innocent, they hope that you don't end up in jail, and they do everything in their power that you don't end up in jail with the name innocent. And I think the same applies. Every time we name a building, we should do everything in our power to make sure that we look after that building because we respect the person or the event or the constellation of events after which we named the building.